Toby, you crazy. Toby, you crazy. Toby, you crazy. Toby, you crazy. Toby, you crazy.
Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougiewild can't be boxed. I'm free to be me. I'm living life, creating legacy. I'm living my dream. They call me extra. They say I'm doing too much. I'm just bougie wild. Cause I'm classy with some style. Bougie wild, 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 bougie wild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougie wild, 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 bougie wild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. I'm rocking my own label. I'm wearing my own brand. See, y'all don't understand that this shit was never planned. Some call me bougie, some call me wild. The funny thing is, it's just my personality and style. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougie wild, 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 bougie wild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougie wild is balanced. I don't play. I say what I mean what I say. I'm done slay. Bougie wild is balanced. That I am. I live, love, laughing. I don't give a damn. Bougie wild, 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 bougie wild. I said the universe gave it to me. I said the universe gave it to me. Bougie wild is loving yourself, it's knowing yourself, it's trusting yourself, it's being yourself. Yeah. Hey. Bougie wild is loving yourself, it's being yourself, it's being yourself, it's expressing yourself. Yeah. Be original. Do you, it works. The funny thing is, grow hurt. I said the universe. Hello, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Transparent Table Talk. I am your host, Bougiewild. Transparent Table Talk is a platform where people are willing to talk about life, personal experiences from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place. The purpose of the show is to bring awareness to topics society does not discuss. They have people suffering in silence due to shame and blame. The vision is to create a place for people to have conversations without fear of judgment. We're having conversations that I wish someone would have had with me. The goal is to inspire and to empower, to let people know you can make a choice to live a happy life. And the mission is to heal this hurt world by showing them that we all go through things. A choice to be reborn and live in the spirit. Let's introduce our tonight's guest, Kellina Powell. Kellina is a young entrepreneur who loves to help people with their personal growth and educate others about the deaf community. Little do people know, Kellina is actually a hard of hearing person. She became deaf at the age of 4. She recently graduated with a psychological degree and is now starting her own online coaching business while launching her book. Let's welcome Kellina. Night.
I'm good.
Death Empower is the name of tonight's episode, you guys. Transparent Table Talk is different because our guests get to pick the title of the episode. So tell us about Death and Proud. What brought you to Transparent Table Talk?
Definitely because of myself who actually was mixed in both the deaf community and the hand community. So I was able to really learn about more about myself and really get myself out there. In terms of really learning about communication, I feel like that's a lot of things that people slack on, and a lot of people don't know how to communicate properly, and that's what made me so much more out there with everybody else and be able to relate to people.
Mhm.
And so that really made me transfer in terms of really understanding people better.
Awesome, awesome. Now I can relate what you mean about the communication aspect of it. Now, having a hearing challenge, how hard does that make it to communicate?
It's hard, because I'm actually the first person in my family that is deaf.
Okay.
Um, so no one in my family don't know what they're doing at all. A lot of support from my audiologist and teachers, and really, it, it's hard, I would say, because there's a lot of ignorant people. Not a lot of ignorant people. There's very few people that can be really ignorant in terms of not wanting to communicate with you, especially if you're asking for accommodation. I
Mhm.
would say a perfect example is COVID. COVID was a really hard time for me because of the max. A lot of
Mhm.
people are not aware of this. If someone is deaf or hard of hearing, they rely on lip reading to communicate. And so right now, I'm looking at your lips to communicate with you. And so that's how hard it was with the COVID situation. The max, a lot of the deaf community was not able to communicate with someone that was hearing, especially during COVID. So yeah.
So you telling me you read my lips to understand what I'm saying? Girl,
Yes.
that's a superpower.
Yes, it is my superpower.
It's a superpower. Now let me ask you something, because you say you learned you were deaf at 4 or you lost your hearing at 4.
So I actually did not lose my hearing. So what happened was I went to daycare. I had an ear infection. So there was a specific ear drop I had for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I went to daycare.
Yeah.
So daycare did not follow the instructions for the eardrop. And so that same day, I actually became deaf.
Oh wow.
So like I was just a normal kid, and then that one day, instantly, that one daycare staff did not listen to my mom, and that's how I became deaf, literally.
Wow. Interesting. But you got a superpower. You sitting up here reading my lip.
Yes, I should do.
So you said that you writing a book.
Yes, yes. So my book is actually finished. It's published on Amazon. It's called Every Day I Am Just Stuff. It's a poetry book, very short, not too long, because I know people don't like reading long books.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about me being deaf, and what it's like to be deaf in the hearing community, and also to educate people who are hearing to understand my everyday life struggle that I face every time I communicate with someone that is hearing, and also to not just communication, but also what is my life is like daily, like in terms of communicating, school, growing up, dating, relationship, and so on. So it really go down the aisle.
Okay. So give us some um insight as to what your life is like. What can we expect to learn in the book? Like on Transparent Table Talk. What is life like? And what you experience. Like you said, being there.
Um, it was not easy. I would say a lot of things I struggle a lot in terms of just literally communicating with someone that is hearing. It's really getting accommodation in terms of really getting the support. For
Mm-hmm.
example, um, a job,
Mm-hmm.
working. not every company is always going to be acceptable,
Mm-hmm.
always consistent, being acceptable for someone that is deaf. So, for example, I actually ended up quitting a job from the grocery store because my manager was not being acceptable. To
Mm-hmm.
part where she would literally like call me across the store knowing that I can't hear. And she was very disrespectful and she said to me, "Why did you not tell me during the job interview that you were deaf?" So I was just like, what would it make it different? You would not hire me?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he made it seem like. So I always get that like questioned all the time. Like, why do you not say anything? Oh, you should tell people more. And it's like, it's not the fact that I don't want to tell people. It's just that not everybody is consistent when someone asks for accommodation. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I struggle a lot, ask for accommodation. It's very difficult. Also too, like not bully, but I know a lot of people have different opinions about
Mm-hmm.
different disability, what disability should look like. I
Right.
always get that be I always get this comments like, "There's no way you're deaf because you talk so clear, you know how to communicate." And so like people I always get those weird comments and it's really not always easy. I remember I had a comment, someone say this guy I was driving and this guy's like, "Wait, you're deaf, how can you drive?" Then I'm like, "What?" So I'm always consistently hearing those weird comments about deaf people.
So the weird comments can become offensive at times. And so that's why it's so important for us to educate ourselves on um different disabilities that we all experience. And that's the thing, the reason why Transparent Table Talk was created. I'm saying we all experience things in life. So we should educate ourselves rather than trying to make somebody feel shame or blame about it. I love how you put death and proud, um, and that you've written a book to bring awareness to what challenges you face. So if you could, well, you are talking to our audience. What is it? What voice would you like to be for the deaf community? I mean, as it pertains, let's start with the workplace. What would you like to see more in the workplace?
I would say a lot more workshop in terms of workshop how to be more acceptable. I know a lot of workplace they don't offer that a lot. I feel like they just only do like one day, but they should have that like once a month consistent, right? It's
Mhm.
very important that we always be consistent because you just never know who's gonna come in into the workplace and you may come across someone that have a disability. You never know. And
Mhm.
it's very beneficial for the company because if you have a customer that is having a disability,
Mhm.
how how would you expect your employee to be inclusive when there's not enough workshop available
Right.
for employees?
Right.
So that's something definitely important in workplace, definitely.
So we cover workplace. What about society when we're out every day? Like, speak to me, just being that voice for everybody that need to hear.
I would say definitely don't be afraid using social media. I know a lot of people can be very offensive when it comes to social media, but I feel like the way the world is going right now, everything is technology. And I feel like a lot of people should be just get themselves out there really. Always use whatever platform you can use. There's so many Facebook groups that you can participate in. There's so
Mhm.
many there's so many networking events that you can participate in as well. And honestly, I always tell people start small, and then make your way up because once you start small, you start to get comfortable learning how to use your voice and then slowly boost yourself up. And that's how I literally started with the podcast. I started small and I went way all the way to the top.
Awesome. That's awesome. So when you say that, you're at this point now, you're like, look, I'm deaf and I'm proud. I'm deaf and I'm proud. What would you say to the people who are or who have been through what you're going through? What voice would you be to them? How to overcome the challenges?
There's so many things I would say, but definitely the number one thing I would say is everything will be okay. Not every day is gonna be a good day. or a bad day. It's life, you know. Sometimes we just have to really learn how to keep going forward.
Mm.
But it doesn't mean it's the end of the world for you. I do want to encourage everybody to try their best to really get themselves out there, especially coming out of the comfort zone, and just really change their circle in terms of finding the right support system. Always find your support system. It's very important.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. So when you said you did say a lot of groups and things like that are on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a lot of Facebook groups as well. A lot of people are not on it as much, but I would highly recommend a lot of people to definitely check out a lot of Facebook groups. There's so many Facebook groups.
Awesome. Awesome. So what did it take to get you from this place of, you know what, I'm not going to let society mess with me anymore. I'm going to be proud and be this voice out here for the deaf community. When did that aha moment occur for you?
Two stories. So the first story was when I was actually working. My hair was in a ponytail. A little boy approached me. He was also deaf. He was wearing hearing aid, and he's like, "Miss, look, I'm deaf too." And he was so happy. I never seen a kid super happy. And
Mhm.
his mom came to me and she said, "You have been so like the way you are, the way you were just talking to my son. I always encourage my son that he's normal, and for him to see you in the hearing community, you just boost the confidence for my son, and I appreciate you doing that so much." And
Mhm.
that definitely showed me like, wow, if I can change that one little boy's life, I know I can change the next generation life by showing them that they can do anything they want.
Yeah.
And the second story was I actually met a professor that was also deaf. And it was mind blowing because you don't see a deaf professor, and it's so crazy. And we had a very great conversation after class, and I asked him, "How do you get this far?" And he literally said to me, "Look, you came to me. Imagine if I was not a professor, I would not have helped you boost your confidence even more to show you that if I can do it, you can do it." And that was definitely a drawing for me. Like, you know what? Screw this. I'm deaf and proud. I'm gonna do this. I don't care what anybody tells me because you just never know who's watching you and who needs your
Mhm.
voice. And that was something when I just said screw that. And that's when I started my social media. So many people reach out to me and they're like, "Oh my god, keep going, clean. I'm voting for you." And I was like, "Wait, what? No way." And that's how I knew that I need to keep going because there's
Right.
so many people that need me.
Right. Awesome. I love it. I love it. And it just, you are an example that we have to take whatever the challenges we have and turn them into purpose, because we can be that voice for people. And that's what I did with Transparent Table Talk. Just growing up in a society where people would take what you go through and try to make you feel shame about it, or they would blame individuals for who they are. And I was like, no, let's start having conversations about topics that we ordinarily don't speak about. Let's create a platform for individuals to be able to come and tell us, hey, I'm deaf and I'm proud. This is what I've been through. This is the challenges I've faced, but I refuse to allow these things to stop me. So, to have you on Transparent Table Talk is an honor, to be able to sit down, because you are educating me today. You are helping me understand, and you're being that voice for everyone to make us take a second look and become informed, and then letting us know, like you said, the challenge. What did you do during COVID with the mask? Let's talk about, what did you do? How did you, like, if you were reading lips, how did you get around that?
I honestly didn't, to be honest. I actually brought my little sister everywhere with me like a puppet. It was so embarrassing because I felt like I lost my independence to really be by myself. And so my little sister, thankfully she's young and she's a little girl and she's like so bored and she always wants to come everywhere with me. So thank God. But yeah, if it wasn't for my little sister who's always everywhere with me, I probably wouldn't got around. And a
So
lot of
was she sign language for you, or she just would repeat?
She just repeat.
Oh. So do you sign language at all?
I learned that language when I was actually little, when I went to the deaf school. However, because the deaf school was so far from my house, I had to transfer to the hearing school full time, and I couldn't continue learning in the house.
Something that every deaf person does not sign language. That because let's be because this transparent table talk. Then we finna get into the grit. So I'm ignorant to the deaf community. Let me just make that full disclosure because you're bringing awareness here on this show today. You're telling me I read lips. I don't sign language, just on an everyday basis. I read lips. So it's essential for me to be able to watch somebody's mouth. I mean, that's a superpower, first of all. But that's a superpower. So we need to be aware as a society that every deaf person, like you said, the lady at the interview, why you didn't tell me? Because I know how to still live. I still know how to interact. But it's just that you all gonna have to give me these special accommodations to make sure that we can communicate. So that's what you were saying, is that in society, we don't want to give accommodations for deaf people that's saying to you, no, I'm not sign language. I just need to be able to communicate effectively. I need you to come to me. Am I understanding you correctly?
Yeah, exactly.
Girl, you teaching me something today.
Yeah, I always get that a lot. People always ask me like, "Wait, you don't sign?" I'm like, "I used to. It's just that when I went to the hearing school, I couldn't learn ASL, and that's the problem nowadays, especially with the school system. Instead of allowing students to learn Spanish, French, let the language be exposed to everything. Why is it strictly Spanish and French? Let ASL also be included because you never know. There's kids with autism that knows how to sign language. What about these other kids who are in need, even though they do communicate like I do? But why is that? Why can't we just add more disability inclusion into the school system? And because when we go to school, that's how we learn things, correct? We learn
Right.
things when we go to school. Why is that the disability conversation is not brought up in school at all? And that's why people or even kids get confused and picked on kids that have a disability because that was never taught to them. I was bullied so many times because for my speech and because I was deaf when I went to hearing school. And there was not a lot of awareness about it. And it's ridiculous. And it's so frustrating because parents have to work 10 times harder than teachers when they pick up the kids from home. And they're not getting the support they need from teachers and school, principal. I didn't even get full support until I got to middle school because my elementary school thought, oh, they're just kids, relax, they're just kids. No, you need to continue to be consistent. And that's another thing with the education system is they're not consistent, keeping up with the kids, making sure the kids will feel safe. I know a lot of kids don't feel safe going to school.
So, like, as far as like you said, they could teach sign language in school because, like you said, why are we making it a disability? This is something that we just should be taught so that everybody can feel included. I see your point. That's a valid point. That's a valid.
Exactly.
So, and when you were going to school and your mom told them, did they give you special accommodation? Because I feel like you could have been in a normal class, right? As long as you was up.
So they bullied me. So what they did was they put me in a different classroom with all the disability kids. That was never a problem for my mom. But the fact that I was not able to get access to ASL was the issue.
Right.
And my mom said, Kellina is used to the deaf school. She's used to that. But because I'm coming to you guys, I'm trying to transfer it. And you guys tell me you guys cannot do this? And when I went,
They could have brought someone into the school and taught the class. Hmm.
so the hand school didn't do anything. They didn't bother. So that's when my mom had a conversation with me when I was in grade 3, and she said, "Listen, you're not gonna get your ASL. You're gonna have to learn how to communicate, talk." And so I said, "Okay." And I was talking. My family was very vocal with me when it comes to talking. And that's when I actually went to a speech therapist to learn how to get my speech back. Because I became deaf at the 4, my speech and the sound or when I hear things is very different versus to when I actually hear with the normal hearing I had. So it'll be totally different when I become deaf. So when I went to the speech therapist, that's when I started speaking.
Mm.
I was yeah, it's a hot mess in the hand school. Like it's just hot mess. It was just hard because it's like, what do we do here? How the reason why my mom pulled me out of the deaf school is because it was too far for me and my mom because it was like
Right.
30. Why am I waking up extra an hour to drop my daughter off to school?
Right.
Where there's a 3-minute school walking distance. I can send my daughter there.
And so you said when you were 4 years old, when you lost your hearing, what you
For
stopped talking?
I didn't stop talking. I had a speech delay, because I was not hearing what I used to hear.
Oh,
Different. The sound was everything was different when I became deaf. Like I was not my normal self at all.
girl, you a superhero because I can see, like you said, we're so used to hearing. And when you lost your hearing, I'm sure you were like, what's going on? You didn't even know how to pronounce words and at that tender age of 4. And so for you to go out and having to learn how to talk all over again. So when you say can you hear, like when you talk, do you hear yourself talk?
No, I did not. I don't remember that when I was 4, so I don't remember, but I do remember I couldn't hear anything. So
So
like,
like now, what do you hear anything now?
oh yes, I do. I wear a hearing aid, so that's helped me hear. I do not hear myself talking.
Oh.
Yeah, I wear a hearing aid. So it's like a tool where it helps you to hear. So basically, in the hearing aid, it has a sound that goes through inside your ears, and there's a sound so that I can.
Mhm. Awesome. 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 You really educated me today.
I
And
can tell.
And I mean, you have, like, I've talked to so many people on this show that bring things to my attention and help me to become informed. And I acknowledge, like, I didn't even think about that. And that's what makes Transparent Table Talk so awesome, because this platform is a place where we could talk about everything and not be ashamed about it. And I am a transparent person so that individuals know that there's, to let the audience know it's okay for us to say I didn't know. But
Exactly.
it's like we be ashamed to say I didn't know that or I didn't realize that. And I am being that example for people to say, if you don't know something, ask,
Yeah,
become informed, be
exactly.
aware, because we don't want our ignorance to go out here and offend somebody. And I thank you so much for your courage to come on a platform and talk about it. Continue to go out talking about it,
Thank you.
because we need someone out bringing awareness to that you have a different situation. Like you said, I need to read lips, y'all. I mean, don't treat me like, treat me normal. I can communicate.
Exactly.
That's basically what I'm hearing you say. Like, I can communicate. I have had to learn how to live this life, and I'm deaf and proud. I'm deaf and proud. So
Exactly.
I hear it. I hear it. So where are you coming from tonight? Like, what state are you in?
I'm actually in Canada, Toronto.
Oh, I've been getting a lot of people from Canada. Look at Bougiewild out there. Look, for real. I appreciate you all for responding. I have received tremendous response from me creating Transparent Table Talk, which let me know that it is needed. I mean, it's needed because this is a platform where we talk about everything. So, what other knowledge or awareness would you like to share on this platform about being deaf?
I would say that there's so many things I would love to say.
Say
Uh,
whatever, say it.
I would say, honestly, just know that it's okay to ask a question, like you mentioned. It's okay to ask a disability person a question. Do not be offended
Right.
because I feel like when someone asks me, "Hey, Kellina, how can I accommodate you? Hey, Kellina, is there anything I can do?" That's showing me that you are willing to accommodate me because you respect me enough to want to help me. And I feel
Mhm.
like once you ask someone instead of assuming, and that's the problem with a lot of people do, they assume. I remember this one time, this girl, she she assumed that I needed something to communicate, but then I was like, no, I don't do ASL. I don't need that much support. I just need you to face me when you're talking
Mhm.
about me so I can read your lips. That's all I care about. And she's like, oh my God, I feel so bad. She's like, I should have asked you. And I'm like, yes, you should have asked. Because that way you don't get yourself uncomfortable or the other person uncomfortable. It's like, okay, where do we go from now? Because I
Right.
thought no. Ask questions, don't be afraid. And second, not every deaf person you meet knows ASL. And also too, I want people to understand. I know some people may get this question. I get this a lot with the hearing roll. A lot of people say, okay, but why can't people just get the thing that's in their ears, like a hearing aid or a cochlear implant? And you may ask, what is a cochlear implant? Cochlear implant is actually a second tool to help people hear. But with that second tool, you have to do surgery. Unlike the hearing aid, you can put something in.
Mhm.
So people, I just want people to know that those things are so expensive. If you can guess how much my hearing aid is, my hearing aid is like $5,000 each year. That's how expensive hearing aids are. So I really want people to be mindful of that. Oh, but people can just go get a hearing aid. No, it's expensive. Not a lot of people can afford it, and that's why a lot of people rely on lip reading or ASL. But again, not every deaf person you meet knows ASL. So just always be mindful and be really, really cautious how you speak to a deaf person because the deaf community is very, very, very sensitive community. It's because we've been bullied a lot, and also too because a lot of the hand community is not always there and not aware about us. So just be really cautious, be mindful. And in the deaf community, it's very funny. If you want to meet someone that is deaf, join a Facebook group and meet them. And we don't bite, be our friend. I remember someone's like, oh my God, like you're so mean, you're so fun. Like, I'm like, of course. Doesn't mean someone have a disability. You should not define them based on their disability.
Right.
Always get to know the person for the heart instead of their own disability.
Right. I see you got a superpower. That's amazing. That's amazing. And you're so strong. Look, like your personality. You have a bubbly personality.
Thank you.
Uh, That's awesome. That's awesome. But like you said though, we just should ask questions. And I realize if this is what I've learned. The typical person, if they are uncomfortable, they want them to make the next person feel uncomfortable rather than just acknowledging, I need you to explain to me what it is that I need to do so we can communicate. It's like we want to mask our true emotion or what we're truly feeling or that question we want to ask because we don't want to look ignorant. It's, I think that's what we be masking. We don't want, and ignorant, we take ignorant as a negative word, but it's not. It's just saying, I don't know, you know? So I'm thankful for you bringing awareness to this particular topic here on Transparent Table Talk. If you could talk to a child dealing with what you're going through, what is that conversation you wish someone would have with you?
I wish that someone had the conversation in terms of mental health. It's just because mental health is not a big topic in the disability community, just because we already going through so much. We
Mhm.
already going through so much. For example, I think I was in high school or middle school, and no, sorry, I was in high school. That time I was working, and I need to get a hearing aid battery. When I tell you guys, hearing aid battery is $20, and you're like, what? And I can't afford. I couldn't afford it because I was a kid, trying to make that little money.
Right.
And I'm looking, and I'm like, and that's when I started to realize how expensive my life is going to be in the future. And I was buying it, and I didn't realize I became super stressed. And that was because I had to, one, figure out how to communicate. Two, advocate for myself. Consistent, consistent, consistent. At the point where I didn't realize that I was draining myself to the
Mm.
whole, because I didn't realize I was going through that. So the one thing I would tell a child is basically read them a lot of disability books to understand, because a lot of kids love visual and storytelling. So I wish someone that would teach me more about, anxiety and not depression, because I know little kids don't read it too much about it, but also to just kind of play and like kind of really just storytelling books so I can see it, because I never really had anybody that looked like me. So for a child to see that, it would definitely brighten up their confidence. But as a child, definitely wish that someone could talk to me about mental health stuff.
And I would like to add, that I've heard you say that you were bullied in school. And as a society, we need to talk to our children and let them know that, well, you're going to go to school with children that's different. It doesn't mean that you need to pick on them. I'm a mother of 4, and I raised my children that way. It was that you're not going to go to school and make fun. And then I also prepared them for children that were bullies. I told them, you know, those children didn't have anybody to talk to them at home. But parents, we want to say on Transparent Table Talk that it's time to have these conversations with your children. It's time for us as parents, teachers, principals, to make it a point to address that we're not going to treat people different because they have a disability. This is not something that she went and picked out the store off the shelf and said, I'm buy this. I thought about that. I said, as children, we mess with people, how their nose look and how their ears look. And, like we had that choice. We don't have that choice. So this is something that as a society, we need to address. We are addressing this on Transparent Table Talk from a humble, transparent, and a vulnerable place, where Kellina have come and shared with us what she's been through. But on this day, she said, I'm deaf and I'm proud. And I thank you so much for coming, sharing this on Transparent Table Talk. Make sure you go follow Bougiewild. Bougiewild is a can't be boxed, be free to be yourself energy. And keep in touch. Thank you again for being our guest. This is your girl Bougiewild, and I'm out. I'm free to be me, it's what you see in my energy. I'm real with myself, I don't conform to society. I'm free to be me, it's the only way for me to stay true to my identity. I'm free to be me, I'm a person of integrity, something that's not rectified.
Bougiewild, 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 Bougiewild.